Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to do something a little different. I'm going to take you through my entire fitness journey from high school to today. All 16-ish years of lifting, training, and learning. I've covered bits and pieces in other videos, but today I want to give you a fuller look at my story. The highs, the lows, the mistakes, the lessons, and everything in between. Hopefully some of this resonates with you and maybe it gives you some perspective on your own journey. I also wanted to take a quick second and just say hello to all the new subscribers here. We truly appreciate you guys being here, and we hope you find some inspiration, information, or even just some entertainment from these videos. All right, so let's get into it. So I started really getting into training when I was going into high school, mainly for football. Like a lot of kids, I wanted to get bigger and stronger to dominate a little bit more on the field, right? But very quickly, I realized I actually loved lifting and building muscle more than the sport itself. I was always the guy in weights class actually working out while everyone else was just messing around, shooting hoops, goofing off. There were actually some times in high school where I distinctly remember getting up at 5 a.m., lifting in the garage with my mom, spotting me on the bench press. Then I'd get to school, do a quick session before school would start. Then I would have a weights class during the school day. And then I would lift again after school. It was insane. I was living by the motto, more is better, thinking more sets, more reps, more work in general is going to be better. And that was my first big lesson. More isn't always better. And I'd learned that in years to come for sure. My first workouts were classic body part splits, honestly. Shoulders for 2 hours, chest for 2 hours, back for 2 hours. You get the picture. Usually hitting each body part just once a week. And strength-wise, just to give you guys an idea, I started out my freshman year of high school about 160 pounds. And I think my 1 rep max bench press was about 115 pounds. I definitely wasn't overweight starting out. I was athletic. My best bench in high school, I think I worked up to about 295 pounds and squatted in the mid-4s with horrible form. Definitely not to depth, but that's what I had. And about deadlifts, we really didn't do deadlifts. We did hang cleans, which I was able to build up to like a really sloppy 315-pound hang clean. But by my senior year, I was weighing around 200 pounds. Definitely not really lean by any means, but still just that athletic type of build. And then after high school, I played a bit of college football, but I had accumulated a couple pretty bad knee injuries. I had developed patellar tendinosis actually in both knees that came with some really debilitating pain, honestly. I tried everything from prolotherapy to PRP, but nothing worked. It wasn't until I had finally gave my knees a long rest that they started feeling better. That came around the end of my freshman year into the beginning of my sophomore year of college when I decided to be done with football and just said, I'm going to get as big as I can. That was kind of what I was thinking at the time. I became obsessed with like bodybuilding, even though I've never done a bodybuilding show, and eating as much as possible. I was easily eating 6,000 plus calories a day, pizza, junk food, chicken, fish, anything. I went from about 206 pounds to roughly 275 pounds in a pretty short time. It's hard to really remember the exact time frame because it was so long ago, but I probably gained that weight in about 8 months, honestly. I remember asking my parents for tubs of mass gainer from GNC for Christmas that year, actually. I definitely gained muscle, but also a ton of body fat, stretch marks, and honestly, my life was revolving around food and lifting. I was definitely obsessed. I kept doing the body part splits and extreme volume. I always worked hard, sets to failure, really putting in hard effort, but mentally it was definitely draining. I eventually had looked at some pictures that were taken of me, and some of them will be on screen here. And I just had this realization of, what have I done to myself? I had gotten so big and added so much body fat. I had become so obsessed over the gym and eating that it just wasn't fun anymore, and I didn't like what I was looking like and decided to start losing weight. So I eventually just stopped stuffing my face so much, and the first 30 or so pounds fell off pretty quickly. I would end up holding a certain body weight for a few months and then dipping down in body weight again. The first level I ended up at was like around 245 pounds for a while, and then I remember getting down to into the 220s and stayed there for quite some time. Then around my senior year of college, I decided to get really lean for the first time. I even started tracking calories for the first time as well using my MyFitnessPal and got down to like around 1,600 calories a day with intermittent fasting. Definitely not smart. I think I ended up in the 170s at that point and had gotten super lean for the first time ever, but it was incredibly unsustainable and I experienced my first binging episodes at that point actually. I eventually gained weight back and ended up landing around 215 pounds. So after college, I got into powerlifting. There were powerlifters at the gym I was working at, and I got obsessed with the squat, bench, and deadlift. I started lifting heavier than ever and noticed a pretty familiar pattern that the bigger I got, the stronger I got, which meant more food and my body weight going even higher. So yes, I ended up getting wrapped up in that get as big as possible mentality again, unfortunately. I competed in raw powerlifting, which meant no bench shirts, no knee wraps, just a belt and some knee sleeves, mostly in the 242-pound weight class while weighing around 260. I would do a water cut the day before for weigh-ins. That's kind of how that would work. My best lifts were a 485-pound bench, a 775-pound squat, and a 771-pound deadlift. So I was strong, but it definitely came at a cost. And I want to be fully honest here, as I always have been. During this phase from around 2017 to 2019, I did use PEDs intermittently. It definitely contributed to me getting bigger and stronger for sure, obviously, but it also took a serious toll on my health. My blood pressure went through the roof, I developed horrible sleep apnea, and I was putting my body at a real risk. At the time, though, I didn't think about the consequences at all. Looking back, I do regret it completely. It was a mistake, and I wouldn't recommend anyone go down that path. I eventually tore my pec in a powerlifting meet, which actually ended up being the massive turning point. It forced me to grow up and realize I needed to take care of my health. So it's been 6 years and I haven't touched anything since. I've learned the hard way that chasing strength and size at any cost is absolutely not worth it. I actually feel that I got out of it easy compared to others, and I honestly shudder at the thought of what might have happened to me if I hadn't been injured and grew out of that destructive mindset. So after that, around a year later in 2020, the gym started closing and I ended up working out at home. It was just pull-ups, push-ups, and some dumbbell stuff like I do now, but I fell in love with it. My goals shifted. I didn't want to be a massive powerlifter or bodybuilder anymore. I wanted to be athletic. I wanted to have a capable body, something that looks good, feels good, and lets me move freely, running, stairs, day-to-day movement. All of that became important. I never used to do cardio after I finished my sports career, but now it's a regular part of my training, and I've never felt better physically or mentally. Blood pressure is perfect, endurance is the best it's ever been, and I just feel great. But don't get me wrong, guys, it wasn't the easiest transition mentally in the beginning. I had created this identity of myself that I was this huge, strong guy, so I really had to reframe how I thought of myself throughout this process. There were many times where I would think to myself, you know what, I just need to get back into all the heavy lifting and get huge again, and then I'll be happy. But through reflection and the help of my wife, honestly, I was able to keep a clear head and realize what was really important in life, and that was my health, both physically and mentally. Now fitness was no longer the center of my life. It was in the background. I felt mentally lighter, physically better, and it was just more sustainable. I wasn't obsessed. I could live my life and enjoy it and still stay relatively strong and athletic. Now let's fast forward to 2022. That's when I decided to go vegan. I'll do another video about why I went vegan, but the big thing here for this video was I also lowered my protein intake around that time. Back in the day, I was eating close to 250 grams per day, probably. When I first transitioned to being vegan, I went down to maybe around 150 grams per day for the first year or so. And now, although I don't track it meticulously and I know it's different from day to day, I probably average less than or right around 100 grams per day, probably. I've now been vegan for over 3 years at this point and have worked out at home for nearly 6 years. So, looking back, there are a few things I've learned over 16 or more years of working out. Number one is just simply health comes first. Size and strength are great, but not at the cost of your body or even your life. Number 2 is consistency beats obsession. You don't need extremes to make progress. Number 3 is to keep fitness sustainable. Make it fit your lifestyle, not the other way around. And number 4 is strength and muscle don't require complicated programs. Simplicity works. So that's pretty much it for my full journey, guys. It's my hope that this just gives somebody out there some perspective if they're going through some of the same thoughts that I had when I was younger, or if they're just starting out with their fitness journey. I'd love to hear from you guys. Where are you in your fitness journey? Drop it in the comments so we can all have a good discussion, so it may help others. If you like this kind of video, hit like and subscribe for me. I've got more coming about training, nutrition, and just staying fit while working out at home. And hey, I know we're still a ways off from 10,000 subscribers here on the channel, but I want to plan ahead for something special. Once we do hit that milestone, I'd love to put together a full Q&A style video where I answer all of your questions. So if there's anything you've been curious about, training, nutrition, lifestyle, or just mine or my wife's take on something, go ahead and drop it down in the comments of this video. And when we reach 10,000 subscribers, I'll go back, pull from these questions, and dedicate an entire video to answering as many as we can. So, all right, guys, we will see you in the next one.